The snapshot is the most dangerous thing. You post a message and you delete it within those 2-3 seconds. Sometimes some people are very smart enough to take the use of word first in and best is prohibited as per the DCA. हमने तो अच्छा ही किया था, इनको समझ ही नहीं आई. People believe that if they work more, they will earn more. That is what I will say. They are living in a false paradise. We actually commit a mistake. We try to indulge in, देखो ये मेरा before after, ये मेरा ठंडा पानी पीने से relief मिलता है in a deep cavity. You know what it is, but let the patient speak. डॉक्टर ठंडा पानी पीते हो ना, हाँ मैं समझ doesn't you the recall is given after 15 days, but the patient does not return after 3 months or so. Yes डॉक्टर पेन तो ठीक ही हो गया, मैं आया ही नहीं, मुझे लगा टेम्पररी ही पक्का हो गया. To raise your chances charges post COVID, बचता ही नहीं है पैसे. So because बचता इसलिए नहीं है because you don't charge. Being expensive is not an abuse. People कल Father's Day, I am like your father, do it future. So don't pay me less, rather pay me more. Sorry sir, you are in wrong place. That is the door. The parent says sorry, I am not ready to pay the fee. He says sorry, we are not tell the rates also. Understand नहीं ये डॉक्टर अच्छा है, ये डॉक्टर सियाना है. That is the success is the sum of small efforts which we repeat day in and day out. Sometimes we are too interested in the proceedings that we forget the process itself.
Sir, we move on to another section, that is ethics. These are also known as moral principles, like what's good or what's bad. So there should be always a framework of ethics in a professional life, because it guides and helps you, making a decision that creates an positive impact. So if you could tell us what are all basic ethics one should know in dentistry.
The basic ethical principles are 5 or 6 only. The number one principle, as I earlier told, is beneficence, doing good only for the patient. The second is non-maleficence, doing no harm to the patient. The third principle is the principle of justice, that you shall treat all the patients equally, irrespective of any discrimination based on caste, creed, sex, religion, rank, portfolio, whatever. You won't discriminate. Then the fourth principle is principle of autonomy, the patient's choice after a full honest disclosure, after the full RBOs, risks, benefit and options about the treatment, and whatever the patient decides, you have to respect that. Then one of the greatest principles is principle of veracity or truth telling. You have to inform the patient if any mishap has happened. And the last principle is principle of confidentiality or fidelity, as we say. Whatever happens between you and the patient has to be kept very sacrosanct and should not be divulged over there. I'll just break out these principles a little bit for the understanding of the audience. I hope beneficence and non-maleficence are pretty much clear, and justice also is not clear. So what about the principle of veracity or truth telling? So I always say, people say, if you separate a file, you should not inform the patient. The thing is, if you don't inform the patient and the patient comes to know from a third party, that is negligence. Now imagine a scenario, you have laid out the full consent form before verbally to the patient, telling the side effects of the treatment, that yes, instrument separation is a part of that. And then when it happens, you actually tell the patient about the truth, that yes, file is separated, and then have a standby, offer the first aid, have a endodontist ready who can bypass, who can retrieve the instrument. And yes, the root canal can be further carried on after that. So this way, if you follow this procedure, this is not negligence. But if you don't tell in the beginning, don't tell in the middle when it happens, and the patient comes to know from a third party, that is actually gross negligence. Then the principle of autonomy, I told you, because the consent is based upon that only. I yesterday took a webinar for IDEA Thiruvallur branch. It was a 2-hour webinar on importance of customized consent form in dentistry. So that video is still on my page. If you want, we'll be giving all the links to all these social media where my videos and where my resources are. So you can check it out if you want to. Then the last principle is which I actually want to convey to all the colleagues very, very clearly through your platform, is that principle of fidelity or confidentiality. We see a lot of cases being shared each day on social media. And trust me, patient's face is not even covered, not even eyes are covered. So I really feel sad. I really wish to ask to the patients, I really wish to ask to the colleagues sometime whether you have taken the consent from the patient or not. So even if they have taken the consent, then also they have to blind the patient. So that is where they need to take care of that part. For any intraoral pictures, for any intraoral x-rays, you don't need to take in consent because they are not divulging the patient identity. But yes, in certain scenarios, you really need to make sure that these things are taken care of with due diligence.
Yes, the last point, as you said, because we see Instagram is booming like anything. I mean, every new dentist is posting cases and tagging patients without any consent. What if a patient sees his or her picture on Instagram or any such social media, and what all can he, do to a doctor in terms of
He
medical?
can claim defamation charges. He can
Okay.
go to the court and claim defamation charges that this thing has been used without my consent.
And what if we take out the picture and video, after the after the complaint?
Then we all know it. The patients will always contact with some proof only. They'll always take snap. The snapshot is the most dangerous thing. You post a message and you delete it within those 2-3 seconds. Sometimes some people are very smart enough to take a snapshot.
Yes.
So we all know such kind of things are very common in today's scenario.
Settling the score, as you said, seriously,
Settling the score,
either with the patient or your neighboring dentist. So you should
yes.
always have a good rapport or good communication skill. Definitely. Sir, I'll move on to my next question. If you could tell us what are, because we see as Instagram and YouTube and Facebook is booming, we see a lot many ads, advertisements, popping up on social media or different other platforms. So if you could tell us what are the ethical way of advertising or marketing oneself or one's dental clinic?
See, before the year 2014, we were not actually allowed to advertise by the DCI. There was restriction on your, even on your clinic board also. You were not allowed a more than 3x2 feet size board also. But yes, people never followed that because again, as we say, ignorance is not a bliss. People didn't know even about it. So they said ignorance is a bliss for them. So what I believe is that after the 2014 revised guidelines by the Dental Council of India, these things have become quite easy now. We are allowed to advertise, although in an ethical way. We can do that, but what is advisable is not go below the belt or don't employ cheap means. Don't do a comparative advertising demeaning yourself. The DCI has given a clear cut say framework for doing that. You can advertise even on the special occasions, special inserts in your newspapers as well, but they say you are not supposed to mention your clinic name or your KYC below that. So people would ask, why then are we allowed to do that? What actually is that under the garb of advertising, people try to promote it in an unethical way. The use of word first in and best is prohibited as per the DCI laws. So first in my area, first in the region, best dentist, these words are prohibited. So don't indulge in comparative advertising, just like Mountain Dew and Sprite. Don't indulge in best and the first words of advertising. Don't go below the belt. Don't employ cheap means. Don't try to demean other colleagues. Grow or advertise without just highlighting your things rather than de-highlighting others' work, if you can.
Very good point, sir. I really will resonate with what you've said. We'll have to keep into consideration about our ethics and our colleagues as well. My third question is sort of a comparison, as you said. We should not compare, but in this question, I have a comparison. Two different doctors have two different approach towards a treatment. For example, a case of a tooth decay pops in a clinic. So at clinic one, a dentist advises a restoration and then wait and watch whether the tooth responds well or not. In case if it does not respond well, might go for a root canal on like later stage. In the clinic 2, a dentist straight away advises a root canal. Now, in this both scenario, clinic 1 and clinic 2, as per you, who is ethical over here and what should our colleague dentist do in such cases?
It is not about being ethical. It is about the judgment thing over there, or your lack of or your amount of understanding of the situation, or the or whatever you can say, the decay, amount of decay which is there. Some would read the microscope, the radiograph very clearly. Some would not be able to. Some would rely only on clinical judgment. Then there are various efforts to do that. But I would still hold the one who does a W and W approach, the wait and watch approach, I'll still give him the more ethical brownie point, because still he tried to maintain the sacrosanctity of the tooth or the life of the tooth, giving it a fair and square chance. But then it is very important that you, whatever you're doing, and you're doing, of course, in the best interest of the patient, no doubt about that, that should be conveyed vehemently to the patient. Tell the patient, I'm doing all this to save your tooth from a root canal. You might experience a discomfort or a two for a couple of days. We might have a longer procedure of waiting, of watching the tooth maybe for a week or 10 days, and then maybe we can restore that tooth. So this is all to be done in good faith. But then that good faith thing is to be say conveyed to the patient very, very clearly and concisely. Because if we don't do that, we will presume that we are doing, हम तो patient के लिए अच्छा कर रहे हैं ना, patient मेरे पास इसलिए आया, I am a good doctor. We shouldn't let the patient be prone to assumption and presumption. I always say, whatever you're doing, convey it that you are doing in the best interest, and if you convey it, patients will value you. But if you say हमने तो अच्छा ही किया था, इनको समझ नहीं आई, when did you tell them that कि आपने अच्छा किया? Sir, इनको judgment ही नहीं है, पहले ही root canal वाला दांत था, उन्होंने देखा ही नहीं है. Sometimes you are finding a swelling over here at the bottom, which might be a sign of infection also sometimes. Clinically, there is still no exposure. You will still do probably try to do a IPC kind of a thing, or a sandwich kind of a thing. You might do that. You have to, that is where I said it is sometimes the lack of judgment also, not exactly the say ethical or non-ethical scenario. So you have to be very skillful and say very cautious and exercise due diligence in your approach, in your work, what you do in the practice. And once you do it in a proper way, you can't ignore all those things, and then convey the same and let the patient decide what is best for you in those terms. If the patient says, no, I'm not ready to bear the pain, please root canal kar do, main aa bhi nahi sakta dobara, then fine, go ahead with those situations. After explaining the patient very thoroughly, yes, I'm still trying it, give me some time. If there are certain constraints, like the patient is moving away or maybe going abroad or maybe some other problems where there might be, then taking a decision on other aspect would be good, where you also feel that a root canal still would have a 50-50 or a maybe a 70-30 chance. So then you should, then you can go ahead in those cases. So I wouldn't say there is anyone unethical over there, but yes, the one who does a W&W approach is slightly has the edge in that aspect.
Okay, sir, if I were to ask you, like, what happens, ऐसे बहुत सारे डेंटिस्ट हैं जो पेशेंट को गाइड नहीं करना चाहते. आई मीन आई एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू से कि यू नो दे आर मोर इनटू फास्ट प्रैक्टिस, यू कैन से. सो उनके पास उतना टाइम नहीं होता, और दे डोंट बिलीव व्हाटएवर इट मे बी. तो ऐसे सिचुएशन में वो सोचते हैं कि यार कौन पेशेंट को रेस्टोरेशन के लिए गाइड करे और वेट एंड वॉच के लिए गाइड करे, लेट अस डू स्ट्रेट अवे रूट कैनाल ओनली. सो एक ये चीज है कि हाउ डू यू सी दिस. सेकंड, if you're doing a restoration and we've counseled the patient, should it be only verbal, और क्या ये भी हमें रिटन पेशेंट के प्रिस्क्रिप्शन पे काउंसिल कर देना चाहिए, हमको रिटन लिख के साइन लेना चाहिए, just to be on safer end? What do you say?
So the first thing is it is the mindset. People believe that if they work more, they will earn more. That is what I will say, they are living in a false paradise. So you can actually work less, work smart, and charge more, and still take home much more than maybe somebody who's seeing 10 patients a day. So the other one is seeing 20 patients a day. So maybe you can carry home more than the one who's seeing 20 patients a day. So that is number one. So people are not, people are in a hurry to actually just go through the work, and haste makes a waste. So in that haste, we always commit mistakes. So always be very, very cautious. I repeat that word again and again. Unless you are cautious in your work, and unless you are alert and awake in your surrounding, unless, how will you judge actually that the patient is not actually here to get the treatment done? He's actually here to settle a score with you. The more you talk it with the patient, the more you understand its needs and wants, the more you let him speak rather than you speak. So that is where we actually commit a mistake. We try to indulge in, dekho ye mera before after, ye mera hoo ha hapla, and all those things. We try to do that, trying to make an impression over the patient, and we rarely let the patient speak. Remember, most of the patients all over India, at least I would say, even if it is a general dentist or a general practitioner for that matter, have one common complaint: doctor ने हमारी बात ठीक से सुनी भी नहीं. They will always convey you lot many things through their symptoms. ठंडा पानी पीने से relief मिलता है in a deep cavity, you know what it is, but let the patient speak. डॉक्टर ठंडा पानी पीते हो ना, हाँ मैं समझ गया, मैं समझ गया, मैं समझ गया. That is where we started. We don't even let them complete the sentence. Sometimes the patients will give you so many ideas. डॉक्टर मैं आई तो इस प्रॉब्लम के लिए हूँ, लेकिन मुझे करवाना तो ये भी है. This is a need, this may be a want. This may be a PFM crown or a root canal, and this may be a zirconia crown. But only if you treat this with the 3 E's that I mentioned before. So that is how the patient is telling you about his needs and wants. But we are in a hurry to rush through the work, and that is where we commit a mistake. We don't even inform the patient कि आपके मुंह में और भी ये सब करने वाला है. We don't do that. So this is where we do that. And now coming to your second part, the thing is that I told you I took a session yesterday. We know about the consent form. I mentioned the word importance of customized consent form in dentistry. So customized means whatever you get on the net via searching is your consent form, the body of the consent form. The top and the bottom has to be customized. I'll give you a very short example for that. Whatever you talk to the patient, for example, your scenario only, that yes, this tooth is destined to undergo a root canal, but we are taking a chance with the due consent of the patient, with discussion of the patient about all the RBOs, risks, benefit, and options, that yes, sir, we are going to go ahead with the sandwich technique or maybe with the IPC, whatever procedure you're going to follow. And we will be completing that procedure and then adopt a wait and watch approach. And below that, you mentioned about your clinic terms and conditions. If the patient doesn't, the recall is given after 15 days. But the patient does not return after 3 months or so. Yes, doctor, pain तो ठीक ही हो गया, मैं आया ही नहीं, मुझे लगा temporary ही पक्का हो गया. Many times this also happens. So if the patient does not return after 15 days, that procedure might go waste, and all the old previous charges will not be adjusted in over there. People say we don't convey the patient about the charges. The patient didn't give us the charges. How should we go? मेरा 5 लाख का FMR का बिल था, मेरा को patient 3 लाख दे के गया, 2 lakhs is still pending. What should I do? What proof do you have? Did you take consent? Consent के नीचे costing के बारे में लिखा था? नहीं. Why we don't write costing and all those things under consent? Because on an average, if every person would write the same, एक महीने के बिल में उनकी annual ITR की value बन जाएगी. So that is where the problem comes. It is all related to each other. So people don't actually indulge in that. I'll give you another case scenario. A patient comes to you with a grossly decayed tooth. On X-ray, you see it is almost about to be separated from the furcation, about to be fractured. You tell the patient it is a gone case. You can't save that tooth. So let's extract it. नहीं डॉक्टर प्लीज हाथ जोड़ता हूँ, इस दांत को बचा लो. सर मैं बचा भी लूंगा, 1-2 महीने चलेगा, इससे ज्यादा नहीं चलेगा. कोई बात नहीं डॉक्टर, आप 2 महीने के लिए बचा लो. You do it. You take consent for a root canal, and you mention all the side effects of root canal, instrument separation, infection, all those things you mention, and you undergo the treatment and followed by a crown. You charge about 8-10,000 rupees for that, also for the whole procedure, for example. And 2 months down the line, the tooth fractures. The patient will come to your clinic, create a hue and cry over it. Said मैंने तो आपको बोला था, आपने ये थोड़ा ना बोला था कि 2 महीने में टूट जाएगा. Again, creating a bad blood kind of a thing, say affecting other patients sitting in the waiting, it will create a lot of situation. Now, a different scenario, third scenario. Patient comes to you, a class 1 cavity or maybe more than that, with the instrument, with the probe, you can feel it that yes, the canal chamber is open. Yes, don't bypass the X-ray. Preoperative X-ray is a must in every case. So don't take things for granted. You may be in for surprise. Life is anyways full of surprises. So you actually advise the patient that it is a fair enough case of a simple, straightforward root canal. You find also the roots on the X-ray to be straight, and you advise the patient a root canal. The patient says, "नहीं doctor, मैंने नहीं बचाना." You try your best. Ultimately, patient says, "नहीं doctor, निकाल दो." Okay. You take a consent for extraction, the normal consent which is taken, and you remove the tooth. Before going, the patient says, "Doctor, X-ray दे दो." दांत निकाल दे, आपने क्या करना? तो आप you give in good faith the X-ray to the patient. 2 months down the line, you receive the notice from the patient. I was not told about the root canal, and my tooth was removed without giving me the options of saving the tooth. You did it, but how will you prove it that you did it? आप consent निकालोगे. What is the consent contain? An extraction consent. Where is the consultation? Where is the discussion with the patient? Where is your top and the bottom? That in spite of patient being warned for all the effects of a missing tooth, and the case being a very straightforward, simple case of saving via root canal, the patient opted for extraction. Where is that? Nowhere. So who is to blame? No one except you. How will you justify yourself? And now, who tell me whether the dentist is at fault or not? No. But will he be able to prove it in the court? No. He will have to pay damages? Yes.
I thought he's at fault because he's not taken a. He's
No,
not taken.
that way he is at fault. But he will say, I have taken the consent.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the importance of customized consent.
Yes.
That is where these all examples were all about.
Absolutely.
I hope I'm able to make my point clear.
Yes, definitely, sir. Okay, I have a situation. Now, what happens before COVID? बहुत सारे ऐसे clinics पे बहुत सारे ऐसे cases थे जो चल रहे थे. Lot many full mouth rehab, root canals, whatever. So उसमें patient ने तब partial या full payment करा हुआ है. And then all of a sudden the COVID का first wave या second wave आया. And then patient they disappeared. Doctors ने भी बहुत सारे time तक clinic बंद रखा. अभी as and when the clinics are opening, either patients are coming with pain or halfway treated tooth or dislodged restorations, और अभी उनको ऐसा है कि डेंटिस्ट को वो ट्रीटमेंट रिपीट करना पड़ रहा है. सो नाउ डेंटिस्ट थोड़ा एक से पीछे हट रहे हैं कहीं कहीं पे, बिकॉज देयर इज अ फाइनेंशियल कॉस्ट अटैच्ड टू इट, व्हिच पेशेंट समटाइम्स वो अग्री होते हैं, समटाइम्स अग्री नहीं भी होते हैं. सो नाउ सी द पेंडेमिक इज नोबडीज फॉल्ट, नॉट द डॉक्टर, नॉट द पेशेंट्स. सो the doctor is ready to treat, but there is a cost which a patient usually does not agree. So what to do in such cases? ऐसे cases में क्या करना चाहिए? Patient को कैसे convey करें ये सारे scenarios में about the charges, about the treatment?
See, if the patient is actually understanding, or if the patient has a good faith on the dentist, he will understand it very clear that yes, it was nobody's fault, but yes, certain things have been occurring because the work was not done fully or could not be done fully because of the pandemic. So most of the time they would understand. But if they say, doctor, if it is not your fault, it is not my fault also that the pandemic occurred. So I would suggest a win-win situation for both. Bear the cost 50-50. So especially for those cases, it will be easy road, because even they would not feel hurt, and you would also not at least recover your some cost, if not all costs. So the patient would also not feel cheated for the amount of work that you are actually undergoing for repeat work. Then there is another situation, what you're mentioning. There are certain charges which have gone up post-COVID, especially with the cost of gloves, PPE, and all the other things, sanitization measures. Our indirect costs or our maintenance costs have gone quite considerably up. So is it wise enough to raise charges? Yes, it is wise enough to raise charges. I gave a formula for that last year also. It was a 5-series article published. I took a lot of webinars also on the same, how to raise your charges post COVID. But for those treatments which are going to start afresh, for those treatments which are midway, for those who you have committed as per your consent, also as per your commitment to the patient, also via old charges, fulfill your commitment at those charges only. You may earn a tad less, but then it is all about professional commitment. Let the patient know. Again, communication is the key. Let the patient know, because of these scenario, you all know all these raised costs. We are actually encountering raise in the fees. So whenever you get a treatment done, next time you'll have to pay enhanced charges. But since I've committed, I'm completing your old treatment in the same charges. And for the work which has been damaged because of nobody's fault, we will do it at 50-50 cost. So that should be the mantra, I guess, in which everybody should feel comfortable and be in a win-win situation.
Yeah, 50-50 is really a win-win situation. Definitely, we will have to understand, what the patients are going through during this uncertain times. Very rightly said, sir. I move on to my next section, that is finance, management of money. Doctors are bad in finances. Usually, we are bad financial managers. Earning, spending, or bacha kitna is all we understand. I'm sure it includes investing, borrowing, lending, budgeting, saving, and forecasting many things. Dr. Ahuja sir, as I said, you are ocean. यकीन नहीं होता अगर लोगों को, तो just go on search channel and see कि कितना content है, कितना आने वाला है, और कितने देर का है, right, sir? But on this interview, we will take few questions on finances. My question one is, as I told you, कि dentist के life में क्या होता है? It's all कमाया कितना और बचाया कितना. So if you could tell us monthly, है ना, कितना percentage हमको समझ लेना चाहिए कि इतनी हमारी saving, हो जानी चाहिए.
So the thing is, it is not about investment, spending, saving, or saving for retirement planning. It is always about saving first and spending later. So for a layman, we always say it is minimum 10% thumb rule to save from your gross income. For dentists and doctors, we always say it is a 20% thumb rule. 20% of your gross income should go in for your saving or your for investment for your alternate RIP. This is a terminology coined by me only. So people ask what a RIP means, rest in peace. What is this alternate RIP? So alternate RIP means you plan for your alternate retirement investment planning before you actually rest in peace. So that is the thing you need to remember. Because why 20, 10 and 20%? Because our other colleagues have practically 4 decades of earning from 22 to 62, if I may roughly say it. We begin our career late. Our economic life cycle is hampered because of our education, post graduation, then working as a locum, assistant, associate. So all those, we start our earnings properly in the late 20s or maybe sometimes even close to 30s. Our marriages happen late, our kids are late. So all this actually brings, we proper settle hote usually people take 32 33 years of time. That is almost 10 years or 1 decade less. So if they are earning, if they are saving 10%, we need to save at least 20% to be on the safer side. So this is one aspect. So then people would say, bachta hi nahi hai paise. So because bachta isliye nahi hai because you don't charge properly, because you are not aware of your profit margins. You just look at your neighboring dentist, what he's charging, and you go upon that. People always say, हम उससे कंपैरिजन नहीं करते, वो पता नहीं कौन कौन से मटेरियल यूज करता है, हम तो अच्छे मटेरियल यूज करते हैं. They will say, what did you actually go to your neighboring dentist clinic, opened up all his drawers and checked out the materials he's using? Come on, give me a break. It is not practically possible. Maybe one or two can do it if it is a close friend, but nobody does it. But we make assumptions about our neighboring dentist. I just told you in the first part of the interview about the neighboring dentist sitting in the dental board. Remember that aspect before you utter even one negative word about your dentist. So remember, you do your own good to the patient and let the patient decide what is up to you. If the patient says you are costly, don't feel offended. Feel happy that you are offering. Even yesterday only, day before yesterday, patient said you are very expensive, but you give a good service. So I took that as a compliment, not being offended. So being expensive is not an abuse. People take it in a other way. So charge properly, earn properly, and commit 20% minimum of your gross income to the saving part.
Rightly said. We idly we save less and we save at the last. So in fact, we should focus on saving first and investing later.
Investing last.
And as you said, charge your worth. The perception of the the perception of quality is always in the price, definitely. So very rightly said, sir. Many a times dentist के life में what happens, loan लेना एक सपना होता है कि loan लेंगे और we'll set up. So loan लेना एक सपना होता है और loan लेने के बाद सपना ही नहीं होता है, नींद ही नहीं आती, loan भरना कैसे. So if you could tell us things to keep in mind before taking a loan.
Sir, I'm a banker's son. I would always say no loan. Number one. Number two option, if you have to take a loan, take from your parents at 0% interest.
Wow.
That is what my dad did with me throughout his life. So he never allowed me to take a loan. But then I understand in today's time, people don't want to burden their parents. They want to have a good clinic. They want to maybe do a PG also on their own charge, on their own cost. So I can understand it perfectly all right. But then there are multiple facets to be taken up to understand from that. I'll just concise it into a few headings or a few descriptions, because I have three elaborate videos on loan and its pitfalls and loans and types of loans, all various segregations. They're all on YouTube, all in public. You can view them for detailed appraisal of all the things. But still, I will actually enumerate a few things. Number one factor usually is the right kind of amount, your need. What is your exact need? People actually try to go beyond their need. And that is where they commit a mistake. Because remember, the more you borrow, the more you have to pay back in terms of interest. So be very judicious about what you borrow and what are actually your requirements, because borrowing large sums and you don't need it, that can be actually very, very costly because the interests are very high. So then what is the cost of the loan? Loans are not for free. you have to pay a loan, the interest part on that also. Then some banks would charge a processing fee also. And then always take out or calculate. Some banks will charge a flat fee, some will charge a percentage of the total amount. It can vary. And people actually just look at the loan percentage. Don't look at that. Actually, is that you should look at the APR, the annual percentage rate. It is ask the bank what is the APR, because APR is the real cost of the loan, which would include the interest cost, the interest rate, whatever it is, the processing fee, the origination cost, which we sometimes also call the loan application fee, and sometimes the foreclosure charges as well. So there is a APR formula I've given in that videos also, that fees plus interest divided by principal divided by number of years into 365 into 100 is usually the APR we arrive at. And if your interest rate is mentioned at 7%, your APR would be close to 8.5%. And then some banks are giving it on floating rate. Some are say linking it with the MCLR or the repo rate also. So accordingly, those things. Then one of the most important third criteria I would say is the tenure part. What is the time duration of the loan? If you have actually taken care of to assess that, what exactly is there. Short-term loans can be from 6 to 18 months, something above 3 years, or maybe beyond can be considered as a long-term loan. So think about those parts. What is the total amount of say which is owed to the bank? Then the documentation part is very sometimes a tedious one. You have to literally fill in a lot of paperwork, and always say apart from your KYC, there are many things which are needed. Banks will ask you for last 3 years, say audited returns, or maybe your balance sheet, your profit and loss account, your ITRs, your current turnover, maybe sometimes multiple other documents as well. Some will need your bank statement also. Some would need the invoice of the machinery if you want to buy for your clinic. So then all these things actually, if you look at them, will make the whole process very complicated. People just look at the number of percentage ki itne interest pe loan mil raha to le lo. This is not the only thing. We need to realize there are a lot many factors going on. As I said, there are 3 sessions of 2 hours each on YouTube. You can visit the channel and actually get benefited from there.
Right. Sir, I have a very parallel question to this. Like we youngsters, ऐसा होता है कि we get tempted, you know, looking at somebody else's practice. Like हमारा कोई neighboring dentist है जिसने अभी नया नया एकदम swanky dental setup डाला है और बहुत invest किया है. फिर उसके बाद you know हम लोग वो feeling होने लगते हैं कि अब इसका clinic ज़्यादा चलेगा कि इसने बड़ा खर्चा कर दिया है. And we feel like you know वो pressure में हम लोग है ना कभी-कभी loan ले लेते हैं या borrow कर लेते हैं और हम भी अपना सेटअप है ना बहुत पॉश बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं. सो दैट टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ मनी. माय क्वेश्चन टू यू इज क्या ऐसा करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए? और कभी कभी हमारे पास पैसे होते हैं तो हमारे दिमाग में आता है कि लाइक हमें ऐसा सेटअप बना लेना चाहिए. सो क्या हमें बनाना चाहिए या हमें सेव करना चाहिए और इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए और ग्रेजुअली जाना चाहिए? व्हाट इज योर एडवाइस?
The only thing is we have to understand firstly before opening up the clinic, what is our area of population like? What is our primary target group going to be like? Of course, once we grow up, we will actually expand boundaries. But then we need to understand that if your primary target group is a 9 to 5 population, that is a salaried class primarily. So what is their pay? How good pay masters are they? So I have written a book on this also, how to open up your clinic or never open up your new clinic in a rush. Even that is available in short video forms on the YouTube channel as well. So for the newer people, what all factors they need to take care of in that part. But yes, you need to understand that if your EMI, whatever loan you want to take, whatever kind of swanky things you're going to take, you still have a percentage of whatever amount you are earning in a month. For example, if your earnings are 2 lakhs gross in a month, gross means total collection, your EMI should never cross 35 to 40%. And that is the upper limit. It should be much beyond that. So somebody who is having 2 lakh gross incomes, his EMI should never be more than 80,000 for that matter in that setup. And I usually believe it should not be crossing 25 to 30, but then 35 to 40 out of the gross is the upper limit that one should be looking at, because then you have to cut along huge corners from your cost of living, maybe in your daily day by day working of dentistry. you have to actually take care of those aspects. So if you are not doing that, you are actually, if you're going stretching it beyond that, you are actually digging again a grave for yourself and a vicious cycle of loans which you will never come out. So always be very choosy, always be very judicious when you are going to pick that, because that is the one reason I mentioned. Your need may be actually less, but your greed may be higher to pick up this also, that also. People need to understand what is their revenue coming from. If you are a periodontist, for example, your primary source of income may be from a crown and bridge. If that is from crown and bridge, then you don't need to invest in a piezoelectric or a ultrasonic unit, not for the scaling, but for the surgical part I'm talking about. Then you might think of say investing in a digital scanner, which can actually make your impression taking easier. Just to give you an example, what is your revenue being primarily coming from? That should be your source of investment primarily, and not any other thing.
Right. Need and no greed.
Yeah.
Rightly said. Sir, should we consider buying or renting a practice? What do you say?
Again, the analysis has to be on the based on what tier of city you are, tier 1, 2, 3. And if somebody say clinic, obviously we run clinic for usually 25 to 30 years. If I talk of the normal age of the dentist, yes, many can go beyond that also. But to make an initial analysis, what is the rent being paid? What is the slab in that to raise annually? Maybe 10% raise after 3 years, maybe 10 years, 5% raise every year. What is the amount that you'll be paying for the next 10, 15 years? And what would be your total cost of the property if you're going to buy? So you have to make a say comparison vis-a-vis that, because the maintenance cost would be almost the same in both the cases, whether it is your own practice or whether it is a rented one. An internal renovation kind of a thing would rather be more in your own property. Sometimes you will still be very cautious sometimes doing certain things in a rented property. कि नहीं चल रहा है, किसी की property permission लेनी पड़ेगी, वो नखरा करता है, तो why do we do that? So but then internal marketing or renovation, all those things are very important in such regards. So you need to be very cautious in such things, but make a calculation based on 10 to 15 years of sum. If the investment goes out to be bigger, then accordingly you can decide whether to rent or to own.
Sir, what are the financial tips for newcomers?
There are a lot of tips for newcomers, because I would always say start with a professional indemnity policy. Always have a term insurance plan. Always have a medical insurance policy. There is no better proof than COVID to actually go about that task. Then always stay debt free or loan free as much as you can, because unless you're debt free, you will not grow. You will not save for your retirement planning. And trust me, when you have to think about retirement planning, you don't start at 35 or 40. You start in your 20s only, because the biggest variant of compounding is the factor which we lose: time. Nobody actually teaches us that. But if you lose out on time, nothing can recover it back. Even a higher amount cannot compensate for that. Even if you pump in a higher amount at a later age, sometimes cannot compensate for that. And lastly, I would say have an emergency fund, uh, at least 6 months of your gross expenses, 6 months of your clinic expenses and personal expenses, or 3 months of your gross income, whichever is higher. You can keep that as an emergency fund. Again, nothing better than COVID to actually tell us when everything was shut down and people were itching to get back to clinic, even after 3 months or 3 weeks of the first lockdown only, by 15th of April 2020. So you need to keep these few things in account, and all these things are covered under various headings under my YouTube channel. So there are, as of today, there are 309 videos on my channel, and trust me, my first video was made on 25th March 2020. So just close to 1 year and 3 months. And why I didn't do it before that? Because I'm a very camera shy person. You might not feel it. The camera hates me, and I hate it doubly back. But yes, for the webinar purpose, for the larger interest of the community, I'm doing it. As in things get normal in the offline mode, I'll be very less visible. But yes, I've created a huge amount of content which will be there always. And that is a kind of a ready reckoner for everyone, for medical, legal, practice management, or even for finance.
How amazing is that? Okay, sir, I have following situations. So how do you respond, or ideally, how should we respond to such situation? first situation. For anybody, any patient who asks you discount.
My clinic fundamental says we don't give discount to any patients. Out of regard, I may reduce anything out of my personal wish or will, but otherwise, if somebody asks for discount, we say we are fixed. And for that, I always prior inform the patient about the charges. Yes, and I always would like to make sure that my estimates are correct. If it is a deep filling, I would, and I'm planning to do a IPC or a sandwich technique, I will convey the patient both the charges. Not that nahi ye filling ke alag the, base ke alag the, IPC ke alag the. We won't do that sometimes. To convey the full charges. Sometimes in the fear of losing the patients, we don't do that and then create a problem. But yes, the discount thing comes only into picture if we are not conveying it beforehand. My clinic policy says no discounts for anyone except to whom I want to or whom I desire to give.
Okay, the patient who bargains.
The patients will never bargain because I mentioned that my things are conveyed beforehand. Then we have a written consent system in which the costing is mentioned. It is signed by 4 people, 2 witnesses and the patient and the doctor. So we need to understand, the patient knows that I have agreed upon the same thing. The ICF or the informed consent means one thing, which the law also says both of us, patient and the doctor, agreed upon the same thing in the same sense. So that would mean that I have say agreed to treat you for this treatment for this amount. You have agreed to got this treatment done from me at this amount. So where does the question of bargaining come? Still, we can face 5 to 10% of bargaining people who will try out of their Indian mentality to actually push in something. Maybe if it works, but if you are stern on something, the patient day before yesterday, I told you an example who told me you are very costly. He tried his level bit. To dekho kal Father's Day, I am like your father, do it. If you are like my father, you will never want your son to go into a negative mode or his earnings going into red. So you understand that you should be actually more willing to care about your son's future. So don't pay me less, rather pay me more. So the patient had no answer. So he ultimately paid me the amount that I wanted. But yes, before going, he said, you are very costly, although you have a good service. I told him, thank you, sir. I take that as a compliment. He just laughed it off. So that is the thing.
Very nice. How do you respond to anybody, either it be a patient or a doctor who badmouths other doctor?
See, when these things happen in clinic, that is the reason I say don't be so bogged down in your work here. You're not alert and awake in your surroundings. The patient comes, like the Chandigarh Ambala example I gave you for the 56,000 case in the beginning. The patient comes, you're too busy, you don't even bother to take the consent, you won't even bother to ask the patient what is he in air for. We don't do such thing. We ask the patients, what is the problem? I had this treatment, this thing was destroyed by another thing. Said, what do you want now? Yeah, some patients are very vocal. They say, I want you check it out and write me that this thing has been committed wrongly. I politely say, sorry, sir, you are in wrong place. That is the door. I don't write in written against my colleagues. Said, Doctor, jo hua, mere is daan ko theek karke do mujhe bas. So I have been referred to you by someone. I want you. So my first thing to them is, yes, I agree to treat you. The formalities, yes, we'll do it. The consent part and all those things, we'll do it. But we shall not discuss the past. You will not discuss. And many a times I've treated such cases where I even don't know the name of the treating doctor. And sometimes the patients have told me, जाते जाते आपने पूछा नहीं पर मैं बता देता हूँ वो आपका वो फलाना दोस्त था. Sometimes people know it's your friends on Facebook and all those things. They can make it out. आपका वो Facebook वाला friend था वो. You come to know about it. But then I'm not interested in knowing that because that is not important to me. What is important to me is that I treat the patient and correct the patient, and I'm not interested in writing against a colleague. The again reason, dentist का सबसे बड़ा सगा है.
Yes. How do you deal with window shoppers? I know, I mean, we dentists, we complain more of, window shoppers. भाव खाली बता दो, फिर हम decide करेंगे.
I always say them, maybe my assistant says them in the waiting that the doctor will check only because certain things can vary. They are not very complex in making them understand this thing. If I am free, if I don't have any patient in the OPD and such a patient turns up, I talk myself to the patient. I don't let the assistant talk. But if I am busy working, the assistant talks. So they say, डॉक्टर साहब देख के बताएंगे एक फिलिंग 800 में भी हो सकती है, 2000 में भी हो सकती है. दैट इज द वे ही सेज इट. सो he actually tries to journalize the thing. The patient says, I want to ask the rate. I said, you'll have to pay the consultant fee from me, get the checkup done thoroughly, and then you can get the every kind of quote from me. The patient says, sorry, I am not ready to pay the fee. He says, sorry, we are not tell the rates also. It is a personal choice how you deal with such a situation. Yes, politeness and courtesy is one thing. We don't cross that limit. But if the patient says after paying the consultation fee, wants to ask the pricing of all the treatments other than the one he showed for example, he showed us for a cavity, maybe for a root canal, for maybe for a crown. He wants to ask for surgical part and extraction, third molar, and all those things. We even divulge that once he has paid the fees. So it is for them to make a judgment whether we are going to do into that or not. At this point of time, because of my background in writing that book also and my clinical experience also, I try actually to make sure that the patient's consultation is attended to in a good manner. And I always believe कोई भी नई consultation जो आती है वो मेरी third consultation. The first consultation is the patient's original doctor. The second consultation is patient's universal doctor, Dr. Google, and I am the third consultation. So I want to be the patient's first consultation, and the only way is by my communication, by my consultation, so that the patient is impressed by that. And it need not be mean that I am singing the tunes of my before and after my work done. It is the way to talk. It is the way to understand, comprehend, and express the solution to the patient's problem. And that starts first with effective listening. Once you listen to the patient's chief complaint, they will tell you many things. And once you listen to that, give out your solutions in short, the patients will understand, nahi, ye doctor acha hai, ye doctor siyana hai. That is the one realization they have. And once they have that, turning them into your loyal patient is just a mere formality sometimes.
Okay, and if I were to ask you, what is your criteria of giving a discount to any patient?
So the only thing is that I give discount only to relatives, families, or friends. So, or known people, or maybe medical colleagues. So my criteria are maximum, minimum 10% or maximum 20%. Again, those things are made very clear, and I'm very transparent about that. I do not actually overprice or over raise the charges and then reduce it. Whatever my charges are, I genuinely give them discount. But I mentioned prior, for example, this treatment charges are 10,000 rupees. But as a general discount, as a known person, we are offering you 20%. So you will have to pay me 8,000. And we mention the same in the consent as well. And we do it very, very transparently. It does not कि वो पहले 12,000 बता के उनसे 10 ले लूं. That will not be happening in my clinic. But this is the way I work. But my minimum is 10%, maximum is 20%, only to known people, only to friends, family, medical colleagues, or maybe relatives. But any other loyal patient, I would always want to give them in kind. Okay, I'll do this procedure as an extra advantage for you. अब वो वैल्यू वो निकाले कि एक फिलिंग कर दी इन्होंने 1000 रुपए वाली या 1200 वाली या स्केलिंग कर दी 2000 वाली. इट इज देयर चॉइस हाउ दे डिराइव द इन्फ्लुएंस फ्रॉम दैट. आई डोंट टेल देम अ मॉनेटरी वैल्यू कि मैं आपकी 2000 की स्केलिंग फ्री कर रहा हूँ. I don't do that sometimes. So I just tell them, okay, you are my loyal patient. I'll give you something in kind. I never reduce them in cash.
Oh, amazing. Sir, before we let you go, I would want you to share your message and thoughts on our mission of motivating, encouraging through this channel, Wise Dentist.
Okay. What I would advise youngsters is that you need to understand that success is the sum of small efforts which we repeat day in and day out. So always learn to keep yourself engaged in that process. And I have a quote for that also. I would say sometimes we are too interested in the proceedings that we forget the process itself. So keep yourself engaged in that process of learning and reap the benefits of compound interest in your life always. Because then the one quote that I always quote from Martin Luther King Jr. is that if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to do is to keep moving forward. Because once you stop in a place, you stay stagnant. That is the actually way that ways you are going down in life sooner or later. So remember that saying always, and always keep learning whenever you're free. Don't waste your time in stupid social media. Always keep learning. Life is sometimes too short to learn all the things in one life and apply them also. So keep applying, keep learning, and obviously success would be yours. But then, having said that, don't be impatient about success, because patience, perseverance, and persistence are the hallmarks of a good and a successful dentist. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. The time and the knowledge you've given today at this session is enormous. I must really say this implies a lot. Thank you so much from the behalf of Wise Dentist community and from behalf of all the listeners, those who are going to listen this in future, and they are for sure going to get not many profit of this video. We wish to welcome you again. Thank you so much. Thanks a ton. You promptly said yes, and you're there for our community and our colleagues. Thanks a ton, dog.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine. All mine.